Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, let's understand functional interfaces in depth. In the previous module, I introduced functional interfaces to you all. In this video, we will understand functional interfaces in depth. So what makes an interface a functional interface? And there is only one thing that makes any interface a functional interface, and that is a functional interface has only one abstract method. But you should note that having a single abstract method does not mean that the interface cannot have other methods. The functional interface can have static methods, default methods, or the methods inherited from the java.lang.object. And please pay attention to the last point, that is methods inherited from the java.lang.object. And we have seen in the previous lecture that comparator is a functional interface, and if you just go to the Java documentation for the comparator interface, you can see that it has many methods, right? And if you just see, it has many static methods, we have many instance methods which are nothing but all the default methods. And if you just go to abstract methods, you can see that there are actually two abstract methods, right? And that is where the last point that I was making is very important. It can also have the methods inherited from the java.lang.object, right? And if you see here, this method is actually inherited from the object class, so this does not count. So that is where this point is very important, that a functional interface can have static methods, default methods, or methods inherited from the java.lang.object. So the only criteria for any interface to be a functional interface is that it should have only one abstract method, and apart from this one abstract methods, it can have static methods, default methods, or methods inherited from the java.lang.object. That's the only criteria, and if it satisfies this criteria, it is a functional interface. Next, the Java standard library contains a special annotation for functional interfaces, and that's nothing but the @functional interface annotation. And we have seen the functional interfaces annotated with this annotation. But one thing you need to note is that the @functional interface annotation is actually optional, and it is not required to use this annotation on functional interfaces. So the main purpose of this annotation is to express that an interface is intended to be used as a functional interface. So when an interface has a single abstract method, it is still a functional interface even when it's not annotated with this annotation. Now, having said that, when you do use this annotation, the compiler will check and validate if the interface is indeed a functional interface or not. So the annotation is not purely for documentation purposes only. If you use this annotation on an interface which really isn't a functional interface, the compiler will actually report an error, right? So it is actually good if you use this annotation, because then the compiler will check and validate and ensure that this is indeed a functional interface. So this annotation might sound similar to the override annotation that you can put on methods, and that annotation is likewise not required on methods that override methods from a superclass, but it's good practice to use it, and it will make the compiler perform some useful extra checks. And the same thing applies to the functional interface. With the help of this annotation, the compiler ensures that the interface is indeed a functional interface. Okay, and that's all you need to know about functional interfaces. In the next video, we'll look at some important standard functional interfaces that are available in the JDK. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.